Hello, thank you so much for joining us for our first episode on Lens Out Studio. My name is James Dose, and I have with me a good friend, Wanderlust. Before I let him have the mic, I want to give you guys a little background of what we want to achieve with this studio of ours. Lens Out, we're trying to forget about the editing. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is actually to talk about what we could contribute, more especially as parents and fathers with experience, born and bred in West Africa and living in and abroad. We're trying to see how we try to compare parenting. We will be talking from our own experience based on what we've gone through and how that has affected the way we see things, talk about things. Before, as you get to know more about what we're our aim. So I'll give the mic to Benjamin.
All right, thank you so much, Jintos, for having me. This is the first time of being in the studio with you. It's always a pleasure being with you in this studio. Hi, everyone. Hello, viewers all over the world. We welcome you to Lens Out, right? This Lens Out, it's a show where we bring you raw, unfiltered live experience. Well, that hits your home and makes you think. And again, this is a studio, maybe a program where we don't sugarcoat things, right? We tell you the way things are, just real life thoughts, just to brighten up your days, and a mix of, the Western world and the African world, right? So please, I just want you to know that I just sit back. We just want you to know in general that you need to sit, grab your seat, sit back, relax. And it's time to see the real life experience the way it has to be. We'll share some of their experiences, what has shaping us to be who we are today. And maybe you can pick one or two things as we go along. Thank you, Sophie, for having me. And all I can just say now is that, here we go.
Yeah. So as Benjamin Wanderlust has properly alluded to, one of the things that we really think we should talk about on this channel is parenting. Is actually a challenge, basically, for people who have different experience, how they were brought up, and how they are now parenting their kids. Is fascinating. The different is wild. But we have navigated, are still navigating it. Is a continuous process. Nobody has figured it out perfectly. So because of that, we're going to basically be looking at a topic where we're comparing African parenting and gentle parenting. The beauty of gentle parenting is that it's not only the way most educated people or socially enlightened people are trying to bring up their children, both the people in Nigeria, in West Africa, and the people who are also overseas. Canada, US, UK, and you can name it. So the topic today is actually African parenting and gentle parenting. Some people call it Western parenting, but I think the proper naming is gentle parenting. Before we dive into that, let me just play something that everybody is aware of
Yeah.
before we jump into that. Yeah, that's a popular video. One of the video that trended so wild, it went viral. Everybody's aware of it. I don't need to give you a background story of that. I know you know the story much more than I do. But basically, today we're going to be looking at African parenting. That's a typical African parenting in a different environment and culture. You can see frustration out of the elderly man trying to, though it was a prank, his son was pranking him, but you can see the frustration out of it. So let's dive into it first. We're going to be looking at African parenting and gentle parenting, and I'll be guided by some of my slide here. Yeah. So, African parenting, basically, let's define what that is. So I will define it, then you, Benjamin, too, you will talk about it. So basically, is rooted in culture. community and respect for authority. You
Yeah.
know, that cannot be overstated. Culture, community, and authority. I'll give a little experience. Good enough for me, I grew up in the northern part of the country where, yeah, as it was then, I don't know what is currently obtainable now. You see, people live more or less, people of the same tribes, language, try to live together in like a nucleated place, 2 houses away. You have one uncle, one auntie that if you mess up, it will Reniko is to give you a conk on the head. And in that kind of culture, fathers seen are basically like an authority, a provider that nobody dares to talk to. You can't talk back to your dad when your dad say, "This is how we're going." And this is like a rigid hierarchical kind of system. I remember some of my family friends too, whenever they want to make a request of their dad, yeah, even in my own early age too, will kneel down to say, "Daddy, oh, and this is what we want to talk about." Like, and I'm like totally different from the way I
It is.
did now. What do you think about?
So thank you for that. Honestly, well, like you said, to paint a picture, right? Let's talk about the root itself, the African cultural roots. Now, African parenting is deeply tied to elders, family honors, community supports. It takes a village is an adage. It takes a village to raise a child idea, meaning that this is a combination of people coming together to bring out the best as they think in you. And that has been one of the things that, we all have, which all of us has grown up with, right, in the African setting. Now, in terms of discipline, now we often see discipline as a very firm thing that we want to stand with. And that is one of the things that has actually paints a very solid African parenting. Some of us remember being told, spare the rod, spoil the child. We all know that concept. And that is one of the things that, honestly, it has really helped us over the years, sincerely speaking, as part of the African parenting. Now, another thing is the love through provisions. That parents might not say I love you. They will never tell you I love you.
And my dad never said. I've never
They
had
will
my dad
never,
say, "I love you."
honestly, your parent will never say, I love you. Often they will just show you by paying your school fees, making you eat or keep you safe. That's what they will tell you, honestly. And that is how they show their own, their own maybe care or whatsoever. They will never tell you that this and that. That is the African, because they won't want to show the weak part of themselves to you, right? In terms of, looking at the quick story, right? I remember a time that my brother, I had a bad grade then in school. Then my dad did ask what happened. I told her that, well, it's because of, some stuff. Maybe I wasn't, focusing on my studies and I was kind of like playing a lot. But I said, okay, no problem. That if that's the case, no problem. I gave him that particular result then. And I was like, well, that is it, right? And believe you me, by the middle of the night, my daddy came with a belt and a cane. That day I will never forget, man. He flogged me to see. And I can tell you that instance changed the trajectory of my life in terms of, taking my education serious, right? And sincerely speaking, it's not that you don't have that particular things to study or to make it right, but for the fact that when things are too playful, you try to forget the real reason why they send you to school. And, and if they don't reset your faculty, and the only way they see that they can reset your faculty is by making sure they discipline you. So that is where the concept of spare the rod, spoil the child. So I will leave it at that place because honestly, African parenting is one of the things that we have, has been part of us. And now coming to the Western world where we are today, whereby you show empathy, you show communication to kids, you are gentle, you discipline, you reason. When you discipline, you make them see reason why you are doing this. Then you try to nurture them. But sincerely speaking, what I feel we should do it's an hybrid form of parenting, whereby we bring the Africans
Okay,
parenting.
we'll get to
We'll
that.
get back to that.
We'll
Okay.
get to that. You
Let's move
see,
on.
still
Let's move on.
on the African parenting, I remembered maybe a year ago thereabout that myself and my wife went for a church organized program that they were talking about parenting. And we're like, okay, let's even listen. We have seen some flashes, some books, blah, blah, blah. But like, let's listen to some counselors that they invited to the church. He was speaking to everybody. He now, this kind of seminar whereby they now group you guys in teams. And we're talking about parenting. And interestingly enough, I found out that the quote and unquote African parenting was not only the kind of parenting that we observe, experience in Africa. Even the guys here, the elderly one, that was the kind of way they were nurtured. Some they talk about being whipped. Some they talk about being that they dare not say some things to their to they dare not bring so many things happen, and I think it based on maybe experience research that they now coin this new trending, or maybe most people are embracing it, gentle parenting, which I also think is somehow being abused. Let's talk about gentle parenting. In gentle parenting, let me just gentle parenting basically is rooted in empathy, respect, and communication. Father are co-parent and nurturer. Discipline through reasoning. Discipline through setting boundaries. Through reasoning. You reason, you set boundaries.
Exactly.
Communication. Children voice is their children can is not, it's not a monologue, it's a dialogue. Like you
exactly.
talk back. Emotional expressions are encouraged. Focus on discipline, confidence, emotional intelligence. I'm just throwing those words out. I will, unless if I have to lie, that's not the kind of upbringing I had. I didn't have that gentle parenting. Not that my dad was a bully, no, or my mom was terrible. No, they are loving people. I still love them to Ed. God really knows that. And they are loving and kind people. But the way of taking care of kids, their children, is totally different. Like me, I'm so drawn to my mom, very, very close to her. My dad, yes, we communicate, but our communication are more like official.
Formal.
This is the list for the school fees. I can't remember coming down back from school and saying, Daddy, do you know I played soccer today and I scored? Those are the conversation that you have. But now you see, for example, my kids will say, oh, do you know I make 9 points? I make some free throw in basketball. I say, oh, so we'll be chatting. It's good you create friendship and communication, easy communication, dialogue back and forth. Let me give you room to talk about, then I'll come and wrap that side up.
Yeah. So honestly, I'm going to come from this part, right? Like you've said, right? Show empathy by gentle parenting, focusing on understanding children's emotion and helping them expressing themselves. Unfortunately, that's the kind of the world we live in here, right? And see, it should be told, Toasting, Jim Toast, it should be told. The kids of nowadays, with the jet age that we are now, you need to understand their language, and you must ensure you know where you're coming from. The kids of nowadays are very smart. They are very inquisitive. See, with the way we were brought up, we were not meant to ask questions, to know why we are doing this. The kids of today want to know why. And if you don't give them the reason why you are doing that stuff, it's a problem. That intuitiveness is part of their life. Now, there's some why that will put you into trouble, that will make you want to smack them down. It is not everything that you must know. And that is the way we were brought up. If you ask why, they will tell you that no, you are not supposed to know everything. But the kids of today want to know why. And as a parent, you have a choice. Either you apply your African parenting or you apply the gentle parenting, right? And if you want to do the mix of both, it's an hybrid. You can do that.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of discipline with reasoning, right? Instead of punishment, you have to understand why this behavior is not good and what it can lead to. Honestly, there are some discipline that has to come with cane. Honestly, right? But again, there are some kids that when you show them that this is not right, this is not what you're supposed to do. I've seen different adverts of a boy playing a game and the daddy walked in and is supposed to do his assignments and the daddy's asking, have you done your assignment? He said, no, I'm gonna do it later, dad. I don't have time for that now, dad. And he said, put off that game and go upstairs and do your assignment. He didn't answer. He told him again. He didn't answer. The man just went to the back of put off that particular network, whatever, and trashed that game. I now went to meet his mom. He said, Mom, this and that. And the mom said, but the mom now went to meet the husband and said, why did you do this? He said, now go upstairs and do your assignment. Immediately, my brother, the guy went upstairs. See, the truth is dishonesty. There are some times you need to be hard on some decisions. Because, like I always say, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child. There are some times you need to be hard. And these are things that we are seeing that, the gentle parenting are doing now. Forget about it because, the Western culture, they are doing it now because there's some decision you need to be firmer, right? And at the end of the day, these are things that will guide them over the years, right? And like you said, if you want to do a mix of both in terms of hybrid, it's all good. But again, I wanted to say something before we go out, just a please. It is not only African parenting. It is not, see, the Asian, I'm talking about our Indian brother, our Chinese,
Yeah.
Japanese, they are doing the same type of parenting that we in Africans are doing. And honestly, if you watch most of us, growing up in these particular settings, we always have respect and we always determine. And again, we always stand out in so many of the things that we do because we know where we are coming from and we know where we're going to. I will leave it like that.
Yeah, okay, let me just go to this point. Now we're in the part whereby we've talked about what African parenting looks like, the discipline, the provision, the authority figure, the alpha figure, more especially man. Then we've talked about what the gentle parenting, the emotion, the balance, the dialogue, for the gentle parenting. Now, good enough, as you're rounding up, you've already dived into comparing both the African parenting and the gentle parenting. And it's obvious you are more, unless if I'm missing it, that you are heading more towards like a hybrid system of the merge of
Parenting.
yeah. But before we do that, what are some of the words that you dare not, because we both grew up in an African kind of parenting, the rigid hierarchical type. What are some of the words that you dare not ask or use that will put you in trouble? For example, for me now, I cannot dare ask or when call my elders by name, put without not putting a title on brother.
And
Yeah. Are those necessary or are we maybe we're giving too much credit to the detriment of killing conversation? Because when you already like a kingship, like you already say like Egbon, more especially if you're from the western part of Nigeria, you use like that. See, all those people who understand those languages will get what I'm trying to say. They somehow hampered conversation. You cannot be self-expressing. You can't really express yourself because you don't know maybe it's a knock you're going to receive or a whip. Because of that, I think it's killing conversation. Now I'm taking that to somewhere else. The same thing applies when you get into workplace. The boss and the subordinate kind of is easily, you see, an African person that grew up in an African home, more especially for our other African brothers. Nigerians are a little people more proud. There is this subtle, this gentleness, like, this is the boss. I need to talk to him with I know you have to show respect, but the fact that good. Let me give you a typical example. There was a day my daughter's coach, basketball coach, he was giving me a story because he used to what do you call these people that poach people? Basketball talent from Nigeria. Nigeria happened to be one of the country has been poaching some wonderful kids. There are so many of them in colleges here poaching there. So he was telling me that there's one of the guys that he poached, and the guy came to the US with him, and they were having a conversation, and he wanted the guy to do some layover, some dribbling, and the guy wasn't getting it, and he was talking to the guy, and the guy was quiet, timid.
Sure.
When I tell the guy that I want answers from you, talk to me, man. The guy couldn't look at him.
It's fair.
Eye to eye, like, and that he couldn't look at him eye to eye. And he was like, and that's not how kids are brought up here. Because here, when you communicate, eye contact is very important. I wouldn't even lie. Me, for example, it took me some few months to actually embrace that, to be able to talk to someone and look straight into their eyes. Because if you're not looking straight into their eyes, they see you as distrustful. They don't trust you. So he was saying that the guy had to tell him that, sir, this is not how. He was not confirming from. I say, yeah, it's true that a man is talking to you, looking straight into the face. That is a sign of disrespect. You should be punished or whip or blah blah blah. So in those way, they have hampered, reduced free flow of communication or ideas because of the respect. I'm not bashing on discipline. I'm actually very strong on discipline, but as you have said, a balance. So the communication of calling air is something that you dare not. Calling brother is something that you cannot but do. Looking at people into eyes, up to now I cannot stay and look straight to my dad's eyes and we're communicating like for a minute. I have to look away. So those are kind of a fallback.
Honestly, you are right. And it should be told, honestly, why African parenting builds respect, resilience, and sense of responsibility. But sometimes kids grow up fearing rather than trusting the parents. That is what that particular style has brought to so many of us when growing up, right? Because a gentle parenting is more, it builds your emotions, your emotional intelligence, it gives you confidence, right? But at times can be seems lenient, right? But there's a balance and boundaries. Now, the truth is this, we find it very hard to look at our parents, at times when they speak to us, right? Because we show them respect. We call our brothers brothers, our aunties sisters, because one way or the other, we showed respect for them to know that, yes, we know that you are our auntie, we will give you that respect. But society of today don't give a damn about some of these things. I'm just sorry about my
I'll
words.
get to that. That's a good word.
Because sincerely speaking, we're in the jet age. There are some things that doesn't even matter. If I call you brother, I just call you brother. If you call you sister, I just call you sister. If you mess up, I'll put you in your place. They don't give it. The kids of they don't give a damn. They just don't give a F. Let me use that. Let's take it that way, right? So my own thoughts, my own thing is this. Honestly, my own is just try and build up a kid with confidence. We've worked in a corporate setting, where I can tell you what happened to me. I went there to meet one of the top CEO back home, went to his office, and based on the fact that, it's a Yoruba culture, right? In West Africa. The normal thing is for you see, I'm just a young boy. I prostrated. I didn't do like I prostrated. He told me that never do that again, Benjamin. In the corporate said never do that again. It's an open door policy. And that particular thing changed my trajectory of thought that if somebody like Chika is telling me that I should not do that again, it makes that I have an open door policy to work with, with at any point, just come in. If I have anything that I want to share, that I want to do, I can come in and share with. It builds your confidence, right? And it gives you an open door policy, right? Across. And this is something that is affecting so many Nigerians in the Western world today because that fear, when you see your boss or your leader or your senior manager or whatever, is still there. But instead of speaking, they weren't brought that way. They weren't brought up that way. They want you to show their confidence that when I talk to you, you are looking at me and we converse. That is what they love. And like I said, there's nothing like having an hybrid kind of parenting at the end of the day. With that, there's a balance.
Yeah. With that, we have somehow flogged the demerit of African parenting, lack of confidence. That's actually some of the offshoot of African parenting. But at the end of the day, it form a firm, strong responsibility. African parenting don't mess up with responsibility. It makes you responsible. But now the fallback of gentle parenting that have seen some online, it's an open door policy. It allows people to have a conversation with your kid. You play around, play basketball, run around, do jogging, eat together, sweet communication. But it's also been abused in some cases where you see some kids throwing tantrum. I saw a video. I'm just don't want to start posting that. I saw a video of some people or some kids in store scattering things because they are annoyed, whatever it is, they can't manage the emotion. Some people might say that's actually misguided way of defining gentle parenting. I'm not defining a gentle parenting in that aspect. I'm only saying that you can hardly see that in African parenting. A child throwing tantrum is in that your tantrumness. If there's a word like that they will reorder your head back to
Resetting is resetting. They reformat your brain. They will format everything. That is it. That is it. That is it. Honestly.
Yes, I actually listened to is a psychologist analyzing one of those cases. He said, no, you have to allow the kids to fully express that anger, or you really see some videos of some kids angry and they'll go to the kitchen and they'll break all the plates. You say allow them to express. I say, hey. God forbid bad thing. So that's one of the big advantage of African parenting is at that peak of that your anger that they will humble you down. Then you now restart again, and that experience that you're gonna have will always be crested in your heart that you dare not, limit. It actually defined. I think it's rigid. African parenting is so rigid,
Rigid.
compared to
The Western.
the the gentle parenting. I think it's a little bit blurry. It's good for communication, beautiful, but that's one of the fallback that I see with the gentle parenting.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. Honestly, I agree with you on that. And I have seen parents discipline their kids because they lack first respect for elders, and even if the kid is right. In fact, there are so many things we've seen. A kid comes to express his feelings to the parent, but they just yank it aside, and that kid will just be going through a lot, right? Now, honestly, everything is changing in toes. The world is changing, and I know we're gonna get there, but the truth is that we just need to understand that what worked in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s cannot work in the 2000s.
Yeah, I agree with.
Yeah. So let's leave it out. No, that's the
I agree with you. You know, fallback of African parenting also, there's so much abuse, even though we have so much discipline, culture. You know, you grow up with culture,
so thing.
self-esteem.
Your parents will use what
Koboko.
they used to, and there was they used to do amala. They
Yeah.
will throw it or slippers or they might be by your side or your mom's side. You will just, what are you saying? You thought Toyotas are talking. What are you talking? Oh, things have changed honestly.
So there's
Oh
abuse, no doubt. Now, this is a last question before we round up. Now, what do you think? I know most likely you're going to go for hybrid, but now we're not going for hybrid. It's a binary option.
yes.
If you are to choose in this time and age between, maybe that's the wrong question to ask. I wanted to ask before that if one is to choose between the African parenting and the gentle parenting, that which one do you think is going to produce a more robust, well-rounded citizen for the society? But I think
Yeah.
that is going to be high, my thought, a mix of both, maybe more 60% on the African, then or maybe 55% on the African, then 45% on the gentle parenting. Well, what do you think as you bring this to?
So what I'm going to say is this, honestly. Now, parenting is involving, like I said, and the goal isn't to copy one style, right? But take the best of both, respect and show empathy, responsibility, and emotional intelligence. Now, if I'm a parent, right, I will ask myself a simple question: what parts of the way, right, what parts of the way I was raised do I want to keep?
Yeah.
And what do I do differently? These are the questions I'm going to be asking myself. And the truth is this: there's an adage in Yoruba that said, Tapa for si bomowi and for to famora. You said it all. It's a mix of both. When we use one left hand child to discipline a child, you use the right hand to draw him back. That's just the essence of that adage. So for me, we will look at, we will just find a balance and ensure that the kids know that you are safe with me. And at the end of the day, whatever you imbibe in her, things will evolve during their period too. But there's no way they will not bring out some of the things you have taught them as you go along this journey. So that is all I just have to say.
Yeah. And from my end to also wrap it up, I would say African parenting definitely has benefits. We use the word Africa, don't tell it Africa. It's more like a rigid parenting whereby, so it definitely has benefit, and you are not supposed to throw away the dirty water with the baby in it. As you said, you pick out the things that work. And something very important, salient, is that for every, and that's my experience, every child is different. You cannot
Mm.
use the same approach for child A or child. I was talking to a colleague of mine. He just had a new baby, and I was saying, "Are they the same?" Say, "Come on, they are like light and darkness." Blah blah. Like, you know the way people
They can't be the
free
same, exactly.
to
Yeah.
express the drop of water in the ocean as if. So he was like, I said, yeah, is the same for everybody. No child is the same. Each child are different. Some children need some firmness more. Some just need more of listening ear more. So getting a balance is paramount in
It's
raising
us.
children.
Very, very important.
Fathers, we wish our fathers to well to raise their own children. And let us say this, we have not figured it out. We are also um in the process. We are working it out as time goes on, and we're just expressing our opinion, which we would like to hear your view in the comment section. What you think about our view, where you totally disagree with us. Let's have your view. We will want to focus on parenting as much as possible for the first few episodes before
Yeah.
we dive into other topics as fathers, husband, parents, children,
Friends,
friends, colleagues.
colleagues,
So,
cousins, family, both
yeah,
far and near. There's a
yeah,
lot to be covered,
yeah.
right?
Last word before we wrap it up.
Yes. All I just want to say is this: in terms of sense of humor, Africa invented the death scare. When the kids do like this, when
I
your parents do like this, know that you are
yeah,
so cool, right? Or when you go to a particular place and they offer you food and you said, "I'm not eating," no, and your mom said, eat now, please now, don't worry. No, I can't eat. Oh, mommy, my daddy, we eat. Don't worry, eat that food. By the time you get home, you will know the history of your life. But that's just humor, right? It is what it is, right? All I
yeah,
just want to say is that as parents, let's just keep doing our best. It starts from the family. Whatever the word is today, start from the family, right? So let's do what is best for our kids. Let's build a home. Let's build it with love, with kindness, with joy, and and everything that we wish for will definitely come up. But thank you so much, Jintos, for having me. This is the beginning of Lens Out. Expect more to come. Thanks for all our viewers. We all love you and stay blessed.
yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.